Thursday, November 16. The Good Samaritan story today. When commending the lawyer for giving the right answer, Jesus said, "Do this and you will live," in Luke 10:28. And thus he touched the very core in the man's heart. Giving all the right answers was easy for the lawyer, but doing those things was an issue 2,000 years ago, and it is still an issue for many of us today. The lawyer wanted to trap Jesus and show off his knowledge. He asked a follow-up question. Who is my neighbour? In Luke 10:29. Read Luke 10:30-37. How would you summarise Jesus' meaning in the story here? Luke 10, beginning at verse 30. Then Jesus answered and said, "A certain man went down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell among thieves, who stripped him of his clothing, wounded him, and departed, leaving him half dead. Now by chance a certain priest came down that road, and when he saw him, he passed by on the other side. Likewise a Levite, when he arrived at the place, came and looked and passed by on the other side. But a certain Samaritan, as he journeyed, came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. So he went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine, and he set him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. On the next day, when he departed, he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said to him, 'Take care of him, and whatever more you spend, when I come back I will repay you.' So which of these 3 do you think was neighbour to him who fell among the thieves?" And he said, "He who showed mercy on him." Then Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." Are there people around us who have been unjustly treated by others? Have we done whatever we can to help them? It is true that sometimes pastors, elders, and members do not help those who need help. Sometimes people of another faith may be kinder toward people in the community than we are. We may talk about being kind, yet others may meet the needs of the people that we don't address. If our faith means anything, we must reach out and help those in need. Jesus concluded the story of the Good Samaritan by asking who among the 3 was truly a neighbour to the person who needed help. Thus the question, Ellen White writes in The Desire of Ages, page 503, "Who is my neighbour?" is forever answered. Christ has shown that our neighbour does not mean merely one of the church or faith to which we belong. It has no reference to race, colour, or class distinction. Our neighbour is every person who needs our help. Our neighbour is every soul who is wounded and bruised by the adversary. Our neighbour is everyone who is the property of God." End of quote. And that brings us to our challenge for today. Begin praying daily for someone who is different from you, or even for someone you may not personally like. And challenge up. List at least 3 names of your acquaintances, that's non-Adventists, identify their needs, emotional, physical, social, etc., and consider how you can minister personally to those needs. What can you do practically for them in the coming week? You have been listening to a reading of the Adult Sabbath School lessons by Dr. Percy Harrold and the inside story by his niece Sibylla. Apart from being provided free to those who are visually impaired, these audio lessons are available on the official General Conference Sabbath School and Personal Ministry app, on SoundCloud, Apple iTunes, and also on YouTube. Search for Percy Harrold Sabbath to find all of these. And remembering all the time that God is always faithful.